All right, let's hear from you now at 217-629-7970. Elon Musk buying Twitter. What are your thoughts about it? Are you going to abandon the platform, or are you going to use the platform more? Is this a good thing for free speech, or is it the demise of our democracy? Or are you somewhere in the middle where you're still trying to figure out even what the tweets are? 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. That's how you can sound off here live and local on Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop. And again, you can email me, bishoponair@gmail.com. You can find me on social media, including Twitter, Bishop On Air, all one word, and we can connect that way. Or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search out Bishop On Air, and we can have a conversation there. So let's hear it. Of course, this all seemed to start back when the Babylon Bee was blocked from posting things. They made a joke on Twitter, posting one of their articles that riffed off of a major publication saying that a person born a man who works for the Biden administration is the woman of the year. So Babylon Bee took that headline from a major publication, and they kind of had some fun with it and said that this person, who identifies as a woman now, is Babylon Bee's man of the year. So apparently that joke was too much for Twitter, and those who controlled Twitter at the time froze Babylon Bee's account. Now, when Elon Musk heard of this, he actually called up the Babylon Bee and asked them if this was true. They said, yes, it is. And apparently, as it's being reported, Elon Musk says, well, maybe I need to buy Twitter. So we saw, and I'm giving you some background. I want to hear from you. 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. We saw that sometime mid-March. This wasn't revealed until early April, but sometime in mid-March, Musk took some of his wealth, and he's the richest man in the world. He took some of his wealth and he purchased like 9% of Twitter stock, and then became the largest shareholder. So he did that in mid-March. It wasn't revealed until SEC documents in early April. When it was revealed, everybody got an indication that Musk's making a play here to take over Twitter, a very popular platform. And you may not use it, you may not be familiar with it, but it's very popular when it comes to reporting on instant news, when commenting to celebrities, when being able to tag individuals and have conversations back and forth. It's very, very popular. Millions and millions and millions of users on this platform. And then, of course, look back at the history of how they've censored Donald Trump, but yet you've got Taliban figures that are still on there. They censor Tucker Carlson, but yet you've got a bunch of random bot accounts that are spammers all over the place, and you've got the censoring of certain political voices. But yet, if you look at the depths of Twitter, you can find some of the most graphic, pornographic images that are out there. So when people heard that Elon Musk was buying Twitter, and he did buy Twitter yesterday, because the news really started to develop rapidly over the day, and you get the comments that if Elon Musk buys Twitter, it's going to be the end of democracy, and it's going to be the Wild West on Twitter. Well, apparently some define the Wild West as allowing for political voices that they don't agree with. And again, like I said, the Wild West, it's already there. You've got a wide variety of pretty obscene content that's available to view on Twitter. That sounds more like the Wild West than allowing somebody who has different politics. So let's hear from you, 217-629-7970. Your thoughts on Elon Musk buying Twitter. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Elon Musk before he's anything else, he's a businessman, and he's not going to shoot himself in the foot and lose a couple $1 billion by buying something and then wrecking it. It's going to go on just as it always has, with an additional space for some right-wing, quote-unquote, politics. Okay, if you don't like it, don't get on Twitter and don't read them. It's no problem. And just one other thing, I'm getting really tired of everything bad that happens as far as conservatives go. It's a danger to democracy.
That seems to be the go-to mantra. That if oh my gosh, there's somebody who speaks out and asks questions that don't fit my narrative, then it's a danger to democracy, and we need to silence them. And we've really seen that ramp up over the past 5 years. It's pretty incredible. So another question here is, should Donald Trump get back on Twitter? Apparently, he told Fox News that that's not going to happen. Donald Trump, former president, think about that, a president at the time when he was president was taken off of Twitter. Twitter blocked him. And kept him from the platform. A sitting president. Now, he's the former president, of course, but is he going to get back on Twitter? He says he's not. He says he's focused on his social media, Truth Social, which really hasn't even launched yet. So there's that. Others speculate, I think Donald Trump's probably going to get back on Twitter, so we'll see what happens there. But things that Musk wants to do, he wants to get rid of the bots. He wants to validate humans. He wants to allow for free speech in what he calls the public square of Twitter. He wants to expose the algorithm, which is pretty incredible, because that will show not just what happens with Twitter, but what's happening with other social media. All right, and the public will then become fully aware that their communications are being manipulated by these social media giants. Your thoughts? Elon Musk buying Twitter. Good morning.
I think it's excellent. I think it's brilliant. I honestly don't think Twitter is real, Bishop. I think it's like inflated. It's like people use it for like collateral consumer power. Like, I honestly don't think some of these celebrities have that many followers. Just like poll numbers usually aren't accurate. They usually, you might sample 1,000 people and project that. I honestly don't think all of these people have millions and millions of followers.
Well, and I think one thing that Musk wants to do is get rid of the bots, because the bot farms in other countries are incredible. I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of, they've got walls of cheap cell phones where they've just got these things automated.
Yeah. Joe Rogan has a lot of those podcast conversations about that. With like Duncan and one of his friends that's on there all the time. But what I'm saying is, if you take like the top 100 accounts on Twitter and see how many actually followers they have, and then do a little deep dive and see how many of those people are actually real, because a lot of times culture will just swing that way, because you look at that number that follows that Twitter account and you're like, well, if that many people agree with it, and then I guess it's not so bad if I agree with it. And if that's exposed to where it's like literally just, you mean Brian Stelter only has about 10,000 followers on Twitter versus the 10 million he probably claims to have?
Sir, don't ever say Brian Stelter's name on my program again, please.
Bishop, don't ever call me sir, and we have a deal.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one. I appreciate the thoughts. 217-629-7970. We'll take another one. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Elon Musk buying Twitter. Your thoughts?
Best thing that could ever happen to America, to be honest with you. I don't know if you saw the one meme that was made, but Elon Musk is sitting next to the Twitter sign, and he's like, there, I made it better. And he basically did a mirror image with a red Twitter bird. And, of course, the media on the other side is like, no, it's only supposed to be a blue one. And just, he's just making it better and making it more open. And I agree with you fully. He's doing everything he can to bring everything to light and actually bring the truth to the people.
Well, and I think just the idea of exposing the algorithms and exposing the shadow banning that's happened and exposing what's going on behind the scenes. And we're already seeing some of that with the messages that Twitter employees are posting about how their anxiety's through the roof, and are they no longer going to have a job as a moderator to check if there's toxic masculinity or something? It's like, what?
It's like, oh no, am I going to be a fact checker anymore to just implant these, false facts? I mean, and everything like that, because Facebook even came out with that. It's like these fact checkers basically just twist everything that they can to make sure that, their left-wing agenda is pulling through.
So we'll see what happens with this. Of course, it's a huge deal. We'll take more of your phone calls coming up, but I think that it's obviously something that is going to shape our political discourse. And that political discourse, it's all about, hey, we want diversity, we want inclusion, we want equity. Except for if you have any kind of Republican or conservative ideas. Then it's just completely freeze that out, push it away. It's trash. It's garbage. We only want certain narratives. That's it. So diversity of everything else except for opinion. And I think Elon Musk coming in and buying Twitter with the full exposed thought of, hey, if you don't like me, you can still stay on Twitter. And he said something about if 10% of the extremes on both sides of the political aisle are upset about something, then you're doing something right. So we'll see if that pans out. All right, so more of your phone calls coming up here on WMAY 217-629-7970. It is Springfield's Morning News. Been taking your calls about Twitter and Elon Musk purchasing Twitter. Your thoughts, 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. There's a familiar theme across the Twitter spectrum right now, and that deals with a meltdown of sorts that they say is happening on Twitter, and in particular with the issue of how some are taking this. And you could see the images of people, even Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying that to prepare for the blue checkmark full-scale meltdown after Elon Musk seals the deal. And I should get my personal Twitter account restored, she said, because she's one of them that's been blocked from Twitter. Zero Hedge saying that internet searches for delete Twitter soar as blue check libs melt down over Musk deal. Even more statements all across the board. And if you just search Twitter meltdown, you'll find even some internal accounts. And Sean King, if you're not familiar with Sean King, he's a fascinating character. An activist, a blogger. He said, at its root, Elon Musk wanting to purchase Twitter is not about left versus right. It's about white power, he says. Sean King tweeted that the man was raised in apartheid by white nationalists. He's upset that Twitter won't allow white nationalists to target, harass people. That's his definition of free speech. And then what happens is Sean King, he removes his account. So apparently Sean King taking his ball and going home. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Let's get a few more comments here. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Your thoughts about all of this?
It's funny how a guy who wants to promote free speech, people are thinking about pulling off his platform, but yet we want to push free speech. Isn't it great?
I find myself kind of baffled from time to time, even like last week when all this started to kind of surface. You had some people saying that only dictators want free speech. It was like, wait a second. The cognitive dissonance, is just really hard to fathom at this point.
I'm sorry. I'm a conservative by heart. These liberals now aren't true liberals. I mean, there used to be liberals that had some common sense. Now they're not. There's no such thing as common sense with liberals anymore.
I think there is.
Anti-Trump. They're still living anti-Trump.
I'm going to have Naomi Wolf on Friday. She is a liberal, a classical liberal, somebody who was very critical of George Bush Jr., but sustained her criticism of power in general. So there are some classical liberals out there. Bill Maher is another one. Yeah, he says some inflammatory things.
There are a few out there, and they're getting criticized. Greg, look at they're getting ripped into because of because of common sense.
Well, they don't go with the extreme. That seems to be the kind of platform right now for the Democratic Party, and that's been elevated by control of social media like Twitter.
And as a conservative, I'll say this too: I'm a conservative. I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe people should go blow up abortion clinics. I think they're the wackos in the world. So you know what I mean. But you're right. I mean, there are some of these people that are going, you just can't get through to them. I don't understand it.
For me, I think it's the more people push against having a conversation, the more likely they're to be on that extreme side, right? Whereas if you're more open to having a conversation, a civilized conversation where you can state your point, you can hear somebody else's point and say, listen, I respectfully disagree with you.
Yes, exactly.
That's a fine art that I think we've lost. Hey, I appreciate the calls. Real quick, a Twitter user says regarding Twitter, as a very early adopter of the platform, I doubt the change of ownership will affect me on how I use it. At least not until it does. So Marie saying that on Twitter and on Facebook and saying, God bless Elon Musk. So just some other thoughts to share with you this morning. All right, so we'll see what happens with Twitter and Elon Musk with his $44 billion purchase of the social media platform. I can't wait to see the algorithm and what that ultimately means. So, all right, we'll be back with more here on